Thanks for having me today. This will be like the global part of it. So as you see, it will be English, it will be not Czech, but I think like when we have a few more visits in the future, it might be Czech. The topic is quite broad, but we're trying to break it down. And like the goal of the, let's say, next 20 minutes is to understand the 3 whys. So what is Shopify, but not just what is Shopify, what AI use cases matter, then also like why do they matter, and then also how can you actually use that in a context. Ideally, I will show something from Shopify, but it's not supposed to be like a sales pitch. So the idea is more to look at the underlying layers, simply because we're having more than 3 million stores worldwide, and 3 million stores create a lot of data. And this data shows a few trends. And most of the times in the past, we saw that like the trends also transfer to other countries. And that's then where like the case becomes interesting. So let's see if... So the biggest one is actually like the why it matters. So why are we all sitting here spending time thinking about it or hearing about it? There's millions of statistics worldwide, but I think 2 are quite significant for each e-commerce business, but also commerce business in general, because they have been already been visible in other cases in the past. So I chose these 2 statistics. Number 1, AI enables faster purchases. And why is that the case? Simply because imagine a big product catalog, so tens of thousands of products, and the customer wants to find the right product. What do they do in their traditional world? They go to search. The search tries to understand what the customer wants. Like they go through several pages, do some reviews until they actually get to the selection that they want. Then they go through the checkout funnel and like check out. All of that exploration time is taking a lot of space. Like they have to go from page to page, from product page to product page. So it increases the time of the purchase. And what we have seen at Shopify, not just because of AI, but in general, the longer the purchasing journey, the lower the conversion rate. So also like the other result is the quicker one, or like the quicker the journey, the higher the conversion rate, and higher conversion rate means for everyone better top line revenue, which I think in times of shrinking margins, etc., is a really important point, especially for growth. Why does AI help here? Imagine this 10,000s of product catalog. You have your chatbot. You ask the chatbot, what do you want? And you explain in like your language, in your words, what you're looking for. And you get actually the recommendations, but also the products that actually fit your criteria. So not just the search that predicts what you might want, but the AI that actually tries to understand the context. And as I said in the past, we have seen that with mobile checkouts. So everyone like 10 years ago, Apple Pay and Google Pay online was not really a big thing. You had to enter your credit card information, you did the purchase, okay. Nowadays, people just click the button, I want to purchase with Apple and Google Pay, and the purchase is quicker. So we see the same with AI. The second one is again something about like top line funnel growth that is important, but also how do I actually stay relevant? Stay relevant in a world where the traditional Google search is kind of like challenged or attacked by Perplexity, OpenAI, but also other agent tools. Because now what happens is people don't just go to the website, search on the website and try to find the products. They actually skip this entire searching part on the website and ask an agent or a tool like ChatGPT or Perplexity, hey, I need this. Show me like results from the entire web where this product is shown. And this causes friction if the entire world is not based on one store. So not one Alza that is serving the entire Czech market, but there's actually other stores that also want to sell something. And it is an important aspect to think about, especially because we look at the numbers. So the latest statistics show like approximately 730 million active weekly users of ChatGPT, Perplexity for purchasing decisions. And this number is growing quicker than the traditional Google growth numbers. So it's just something to keep in mind, because it doesn't help anyone if you are number 1 on the Google listing, if you have the best ads in Google, but people still don't find you because they use and prefer a different channel. So these are aspects why AI can matter. There's millions more, and I think I will jump into that. But the second one is like, why would you listen to me? Like the guy that comes to Czech, speaks English, Shopify, and like Shopify is not necessarily like the company that is like the strongest in the Czech market. maybe a few facts, and it might create a bit of, let's say, credibility. Some might have already met me in other events. So I'm Lucas, looking like Steve Jobs in that picture, the younger one. I'm working now for 5+ years at Shopify, so like this global commerce company that tries to change the world in terms of commerce. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but overall speaking, the growth is still good. I was responsible and also actively involved in plus 150 migration projects. What does it mean? Migrating from a ShopTet, from a Magento, from a Salesforce Commerce Cloud to Shopify. And actually, I don't want to brag with that number, but it actually helped to understand different businesses. So there's like different categories, from pharmacies to fashion retailers to home and furniture, or like even agricultural companies that sell like huge ass machines. So it's just something to kind of like increase the scope. I've seen a lot, I've heard a lot, and I've also seen a lot of problems. And a fun fact, and this is kind of like adding to the AI part, I'm actively using AI as an employee every day, simply because we need to do it. Else my wife would be angry with me if my 60-hour work week would be 80 hours. So that's why we actively use Cursor, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatsoever. I would like to show you that, but I think our internal policies would be heavily against it. But I can just ensure like that AI tools, at least in my role, so technical discussions, technical infrastructures, they really change the way of work. And also coding elements and coding MVPs is something that really changed. So that about me. Now about AI focus and why. Like the why we kind of like talked a bit about, now the what, so what is done. And I don't want you to see this slide, despite the fact that it says Shopify in the middle, as like Shopify is the gold and Shopify knows everything slide. It should be more seeing like Shopify might see a trend, and all of these aspects are trends or underlying trends with AI adoption. I'll give you an example. So we see that, for instance, this term of like sidekick. For those of you who don't know, it's like an AI bot living in Shopify who is able to use your data to give you recommendations, analysis, etc. In the end, it's nothing else as ChatGPT in the system. And the underlying trend here would be, okay, you have a tool that is able to read your data better than your data analyst. Then we have things like agentic commerce. So what I kind of like sharply talked about, you have like the Perplexity browser, you search for, I want to search for a gift for my wife. It should be not exceeding 100 euros. What can I find? So how is that actually looking like? How does it work from a technical standpoint? And also like some other trends like universal cards, etc. Shopify is trying to do all of these aspects simply because we are built on providing a platform for e-commerce. You can imagine every one of you wants to make revenue. Shopify also wants to make revenue. But even more important, what happens if this traditional e-commerce becomes less relevant in the future? If we are betting all of our bets on this specific part, our business model will be kind of like not there anymore. And I think Maurice and myself in 5 years would have to search for a new job, simply because we are building on this traditional e-commerce. And that's also why it shows a bit when a company of the size of Shopify, with 10,000 employees and 5,000 of them developers, invests in certain of these topics, it might be relevant for everyone. It might be not, but at least it might be worth looking. And even if you are like absolutely happy with whatever you have, at least paying attention to something I learned is like a good way, because you can always learn something from others. And I hope also like today, after the event, after the presentation slots, we have time to actually go in, discuss, and maybe solve some problems. The one topic I would like to focus on before jumping in something that I call like a live demonstration of 2 or 3 interesting use cases is agentic commerce. Because this is something that is kind of like a buzzword. Everyone thinks they understand what it is, but no one really does. And it's kind of like hyped up as everything with AI. Like you are a startup and you use AI, investors are more likely to invest in you. You're an e-commerce company like Shopify, you put AI out, you hope that people buy your sales or like your shares or like your product. Agentic commerce in short terms, and I hope I explain it well, else I always be happy and open for feedback, is kind of like the shift from the traditional Google search that I talked about in the beginning to the shift to like platforms, to agents. And then agent is nothing else, it's like your own chatbot, Microsoft has one, Perplexity has one, OpenAI has one, but also some of our merchants have their own. So a chatbot where you can speak your language, so in your case Czech, in my case for instance German, talk to the bot, which might seem a bit weird in the beginning, but it works actually quite well. Talk to them, explain them what you want in your normal language, no formatting needed, as if you would talk to a friend, or even use like visuals, etc. You talk to this agent. Now the job of the agent is quite difficult, because if it is one store, so I go to the Dr. Max store, for instance, and I use their agent, they can use their catalog. But what happens if I want the agent to search the entire web, and I have different stores with different products, and I potentially want to buy from different stores at the same time? It already complicates the process for like traditional e-commerce, but it creates a challenge because, first of all, how do I get the store data? So how do I know what products are for sale? Second of all, how do I make sure that the customer journey is still quick? Because in the end, no one wants to go to 5 different websites, purchase on 5 different websites. Everyone knows that causes friction, and Alza will be happy about that because they can consolidate. The second part, and this is kind of like where it's dragging to, is like the cart. So how do I make sure that I have one cart that can be used for multiple stores? So it's kind of like the mother cart of everything, so to say. And all of the other stores, like they're linking to this one. And then how can I make sure that I can check out as quick as possible, as much as I know it, without changing the entire pattern? And there's multiple approaches how companies can solve that. This is like Shopify specific one. So Shopify with the 3 million stores created something we can call like an MCP. MCP is like the API or like the talking layer for all of these agents. Made it available to the big players in the market. I think Microsoft is the first one now using it actively, and there's some few more. And what actually happens is Shopify stores have that stuff out of the box. So you press the button, your products are linkable or available to the agents. You have a universal cart. So it's a bit hard to see here, but these are actually different stores. So you have different stores that create one cart, and you can purchase all of that in one click. And the rest is done like via Shopify. So it's pretty cool, but like the overall topic of agentic commerce is something that I would recommend to everyone to at least look into, because I think it will actually change the way of work. And everyone can do that also without Shopify. But Shopify might make it easier. That's kind of like the underlying message. I just have to look time-wise. I think I'm good. Else tell me if not. What I wanted to show, because in the end, like we have a lot of slides, and I talked a little bit about it, and I hope it's not as dry as it might be or as boring. I wanted to show like 2/3 use cases. First of all, from the end user. So how does it look for a customer if AI is used in a nice way? And then second of all, how is AI usage helping maybe the end user? So the e-commerce manager, the CTO, the CFO, anyone who works in an online store. We can see here customer. The customer is selling multiple different products. In this case, they're selling a razor. And I want you to pay attention to this specific part here on the right. For some of you, it might look already like an AI section. It actually is. But this is let's say this is the product page from Lucas, who is looking to buy the Dream Team set razor. I might need it. And there's like multiple chances, or like the chance of acting or entering what we want. I will not ask him something specific. I could, but I don't want. I want to kind of like make it as quick as possible, also considering the time. So we will ask this bot, what can you do? Or what makes, for instance, this product different? Then we see like the AI bot is doing what we know quite typically. They are loading. If the internet is quicker, they load it quite quick. There's a response. That is something like personalized shopping. This is not where the magic is happening. This is kind of like stuff that everyone, I think, should have, because it helps to purchase, but it's not what I would like to show. What I want to show is that our PDP is actually changing based on the output, and this is unique to each customer. So each customer has here a unique PDP with specifically the use cases and USPs that they were looking for. And I just want you to see the logic behind and imagine, like, think big. What happens if I can show different pictures to different customers depending on what hobbies they have? What if I can show like different pictures or also different text if I know that the customer is a sustainable person and my shoes are sustainable? What happens if I know that like the subscription part is super important for my customer and I can show this specific person a different site than another one without completely redoing the store? This is an AI part which literally is quick to, like in this case, quick to install, but it shows a bit of like the potential of going further than just the typical AI chatbot case. And it is really interesting because this is like the one, and some of you might say, yeah, come on, like if you enter that, it can always show me something that is generic and it looks like it's adjusting the site. But let's assume like we enter something new. We have the response. We changed it and we see like it changes it again to the latest response. So it takes the context of the conversation, puts it into the right format and adds it to the PDP. And here you can do it for everything. So I could see like in every use case something that could work well. So that was just something to show you where we're already standing. As an example, the last aspect, and that is kind of like despite the fact that the Shopify backend is like the aspect of, okay, what can I do as an employee or as like a person that actually works in the backend, so not directly like let's say as a customer. There's multiple use cases. I hope we will see some of the elements today. I think one theme that we see heavily used is content creation, but also image creation. So using AI in order to create nice pictures for certain products. What I want to show you is that there is already some tools in the platform, in this case Shopify, but I'm pretty much sure there's also other companies that do a similar good job. And what I want to do is like, I want you to look at these pictures. So this is like I don't know, like a pillow. And what we are going to do, we're going to ask our friendly helper, if my computer allows, because this loading sign is usually not a good one. Well, I think that is like the presentation part where like my time is ending and I say thank you very much. Well, actually, yeah, it's like where I have to freestyle. So the idea is that the same robot, it doesn't matter, it doesn't work. It's my MacBook, most likely installing some kind of new updates, policies, or I shared something that I shouldn't say. So what happens is like Shopify has this kind of like internal interface, ChatGPT-like, which is the sidekick. What you now could do is you could ask him, again in your own language, I want to have these pictures, put it please in the nature next to a nice lake. And it works a bit like this, like Nano Banana, the new one, like a Gemini tool that creates pictures that look really good inside the Shopify. And is part of like the included tools that we see. So it's not something you have to pay for, as you usually have to, but it's included. We see it like with the, let's say with the content here that you can create automatically with AI, but also with data analysis. As I said, like I think my Chrome just crashed, so stuff happens. But it's also a good thing like about the time. As I said, like most important for me is don't see Shopify as the company that does everything right, and also don't see it as the company where like every online store has to run on Shopify. But see it as like the big data source that it is. Look at some of the trends and some of the development that goes into the platform, because it might help every business and where like the future might be. So yeah, I thank every one of you. Maybe afterwards we have the chance of showing it to individuals. But yeah, I hope it was like worthwhile listening. And yeah, time is over. So thank you very much.